And now a report on Pioneer from Mike Framboy, our principal.
That's not our symbol.
From Frambla. La Frambla.
La Framboise.
La Frambla. Of course, you may.
Thank you. Go ahead, you can lead it off. Thank you.
Hello, board. I want to give an update. We actually had a community meeting held last night at Pioneer Campus. Thank you, Chair Edwards and Director Anthony, for joining us. We discussed the classroom plans at Rice and Applegate and listened to the concerns brought to the table from the parents in attendance and some of the staff members as well.
Today we had Rudy Rudolph come out with her team, and we talked about the logistics of actually packing up, being able to move things, the process that the teachers would follow, when boxes would be delivered, things like that. So we have a solid plan to move forward with that. We had a meeting on the 15th with the Rose City Park Neighborhood Association, and there were, 15, 20 people in attendance. They had some questions, both from our parent component as well as from the district, which I think the district is getting back to them as well as the parent component. On March 21st, tomorrow night, we're going to the Piedmont Neighborhood Association, and we will lay out our plans for staffing and students and the makeup of the building at Applegate for them. Work on Rice is expected to begin in May. Work on Applegate begins in June when students are out of school. That's where we're at for right now.
Go ahead, Director Moore.
Yep, before you leave.
Mike or Chris?
We have a question?
Sorry. Can you say any more about what happened at the community meeting last night?
Last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for the record, a bunch of us were out of town traveling for board business, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
including the superintendent, so.
We went through what our plans were. We put up a map of each building. We've actually placed classrooms into them so that parents could see if their son or daughter was in room 1 at Holiday, for instance, they would be going to room 14 at Applegate. We've defined de-escalation spaces and sensory spaces, but we wanted to get more parent input on what the actual makeup of the buildings would be past that. The de-escalation spaces we have to define because that would probably be the bulk of the work at Applegate as far as construction goes. We picked up 12 more parent volunteers to be on the planning committee, which is good. So that gives us about 20 people. Our plan is to then kind of break them up into groups depending on if we go with a 2-site model or a 3-site model, get everyone out to see the schools, and then go back to our maps and continue to plan.
We also collected information about when people are available to start doing parent tours as well as advisory tours, and then working to develop student tours late in the spring.
So just Director Moore, maybe to follow up a bit, I think sort of one piece that may have been missing last night is, so there was I think a great discussion at the school level, but there's a fair number of questions that link to sort of district-related initiatives, whether it's budget or the review of the IEP. So it seems that that's a piece that needs to be linked in to the broader planning. So that was one thing that I think wasn't able to be covered because it was more a school-based meeting last night.
I think our plan moving forward is to continue with the school-based meetings as far as making a plan for actually moving the schools. I think there are a lot of questions that we do not have answers to, and I think the community's looking to you all for more information about that process. But our plan is to continue making the best plan that we can to move the schools if and when we move.
So Superintendent Guerrero, are we having later on this evening as part of the budget discussion, a discussion about the facilities budget, or is that at a different meeting? Sorry.
We'll be having a facilities update. certainly a budget update.
Can't hear you.
So a budget update around the cost related to the move?
If and when we move.
Or-
We'll have to see what our CFO has prepared for us tonight.
If and when we move.
Okay, but possibly.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You don't have any questions? 112 days in, no questions?
We have a number of questions that we've given to staff and asked them to respond to them. We have a number of questions that we've given to staff and asked them to respond to them. And we'll
Okay.
be hopefully getting a budget update either tonight or when it's ready on the facilities move.
If and when we move.
Not too late to do what's right.
If and when we move.